This is my daughter Ailey. Hello, Ailey. Hello. She's a lady from Liberty Grace Church. Oh, that's good. Doing the Kilport tomorrow. Very exciting. So Ailey's only a publicity lady. Oh, right. Oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, but nice to meet you tonight. Yeah. You're not
Hi everyone, welcome to Supporters Day 2023. Oi gente, todo mundo em Brasil, seja bem-vindo no Supporters Day de 2023 na Escócia.
Please make your way to the seat. We are about to start. Thank you. For all who don't know me, my name is Rebecca. I want to welcome you today to Supporters Day 2023. And today can mark our 24-year anniversary, and thank you for coming. So I hope you enjoy this time. So I'm going to pray, and just after that, we're going to have some worship. And Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time. We just bless your name. We leave this time into your hand. We just pray that you be with us, and that everything that we're going to hear today, that we're going to do today, for it to bring glory to your name, and for each and every person of us here, Father, to bring connection, to keep on knowing each other. We know that we comfort supporters and so on, but we want to know each other, Father. That's why we made this day. In the name of Jesus, we thank you. Amen. Amen. And our worship band today is Neil and Fiona. Thank you.
Shall we stand together? It's really good to be with you this morning. And for those of you who don't know, I spent 4 years working in this office, and it's great to be back. Let's lift our voices to the one who makes all of this possible. Everyone needs compassion, a love that's never failing. Let mercy fall on me. Everyone needs forgiveness, the kindness of the Savior, the hope of nations. The Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. So take me as you find me. All my fears and failures. Fill my life again. Give my life to follow everything I believe in. Now I surrender. The Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Shine your light, let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Jesus, shine your light, let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. The Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. One last time, Savior. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. Oh, my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
You guys do again. I love your voice.
I love your voice. You will let me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. And every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of
All
God.
my life.
All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Your goodness.
Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, surrender now. I'm giving you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of
The
God.
one last time, all my life.
All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Come now, fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy praise. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mountain fixed upon it, Mount of God's redeeming love. Here I find my greatest treasure, hither by thy help I've come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger, bought me with his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I come straight to thee. Let thy goodness, like a fetter, bind thy wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above.
Here's my heart.
Oh, take and seal it for thy courts
To
above.
rescue.
Be to rescue me from danger, bought me with his precious
One last
love.
time, be to rescue.
Be to rescue me from danger, bought me with his precious love.
Thank you so much. Now I'll just give it to Callum. Before I give it to Callum, I just want to remind everybody that the toilet is just right at the back. There's the main gent, right. The minute you just get there, you see the gent, and next to it there's the woman. So in case there's a fire, we know we won't have any fire because the Lord is with here. So in case there's a fire, the exit doors are just straight. You just find the arrow in green which shows you, and then everybody will just gather around in the parking lot just downstairs. So that's that. Thank you.
Good morning.
And there's as well, extra toilet just outside there once you just go out from the entrance. So I will just give Callum the mic so that you can hear him.
Thank you. Good morning. Wonderful to see you all this morning. Fantastic to be here. I love today. It's always a great day. So thank you so much for being here to make it special. We're going to have an icebreaker. So you should have either a flag or the name of a country with a little bit of sticky something. And if you haven't, I have got a few here. So if you haven't, come and see me right at the beginning of this icebreaker, and I will give you one of those. But the idea, we're probably being a bit ambitious here with your geographical knowledge. So I've got a sheet screen down here if you get really stuck. The idea is that you either have a flag or a country, and you find your opposite number. But to be honest, I think I would have got about 3 out of however many there were there. So if you're struggling, come and see me here. I've got some flags, and at least you can find out what your flag looks like. So the idea is that we all get up, we all mingle, because how many people are here for the first time? Okay, so there's quite a lot of people here for the first time. Have you come all the way from Open today? That is amazing. That is amazing. So Fiona, my glamorous assistant, is, well, anything goes today because we've been singing melodious sonnets, and if I sing a melodious sonnet, then it's the day of miracles. So, sorry? You are giving one of these and one of these in order to anybody who hasn't got them. Okay, from the top. Yeah. So, there are a number of people here that haven't been here before. There's a number of people who've maybe come on their own or just with one other person. So don't assume that people here know each other, because they may not. So this is designed to help you to get to know each other. So you're all going to stand up, you're going to mingle, you're going to find your opposite number, and you're going to ask them 3 things. You're going to ask them their favorite sport, their favorite food, and their favorite town or village in Scotland. Okay? You with me? Your favorite food. Favorite sport. Favorite book, not food. Favorite sport. A book, a food, whatever you want. Favorite sport, favorite food, favorite town and village in Scotland. Yeah, okay. It doesn't really matter. You can talk about anything. So stand up. Go and find your opposite number, and if you're struggling, come and see me.
I know who you need to do it. My wife. Yes. Blue hoodie there. Right there.
Well, listen.
Because I know what I'm looking for.
Does anybody know where Camorris is?
No, I've never heard of it. That's not a new geography.
I thought it was just next to Govan.
It probably is. Wait. This is it. Oh, you met already. Right, forget it. I have no idea. And I'm saying this. I have no idea. Wait a minute. Should we look on? We've got it. Yes. I didn't even know. Right.
Anyone who doesn't have a partner, stick their hand up. Anyone who doesn't have a partner, stick their hand Okay, everybody well done on finding your partners. If you could make it back to your seats, please, if I can bring you back and finish up your conversation. Thank you very much. If you finish up your conversations and come back to your seats, that would be lovely.
All the chatterboxes at the back, if you can make it back to your seats, that would be lovely. I'm looking at you, Michael Garney.
7 different classes in a day, different teachers, 6 in the
Make your way back to your seats, please. Thank you so much. Turn into an angry person soon. Now step back to your seats, please. I'm going to start counting down from 3 or 5, 4, 3. I feel like I have no authority. 2. Come on, people. 1.5. 1. 0. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you managed to have a chat with each other, and we're so delighted to see you today. My name's Ailey, and you'll be hearing from me a little bit later on. But we just want to show you a little bit of what has been going on at Comfort International this summer on our trips to Africa.
Thank you so much for doing that, really. That's fantastic. I think one of the things that we always feel when we come back from Africa is that we'd love to have taken everybody with us. Not just for the experience you have, but to be able to take something back here with you in your heart. And it's really, like the music there in the first lot of music, that was from the Children of Liberty. That was the child soldiers who've been rescued who were singing that, and it's just it impacts your heart. And so one of the things that we want to do this morning is try somehow to capture something of what those who were out over the summer touched their hearts and bring it back again. So I have asked a few people just to stand up and just give a couple of sentences about what impacted their hearts and their lives when they were out in Africa. And the first person, I think, is Denise.
Just from here?
Can you hear okay?
Can you hear me? Yeah. So I was out in July, first time in Rwanda, and I think there's so many things, and I actually shared with everybody in reflections one evening that I wasn't sure what difference it made for me to even be there. Why am I here? I don't want to be a poverty tourist. What difference does it make? And they were all reassuring me it wasn't like that. And then the next morning we went out to one of the projects, and one of the widows stood up to welcome us. And the first thing she said was that during the genocide and like immediately after the genocide, they felt the world had basically turned their back on them, that they were completely like neglected by everyone. And the fact that people have come over, spent all their time, all their money to come, not just send money, but actually come themselves physically, just meant the world to them. and some people recognised that had come time and time again, but she was just totally overwhelmed that people would actually come and do that and want to meet them face to face, even if it's just to give them a hug. And that answered my question as to why I was there. So,
Thanks. Please understand, this is not a plug for people to go on trips. It really is just trying to bring something back of what people experience so we can all share that together. Michael and Anne were out in the spring on the Comfort Babies trips. Michael? This is actually Anne.
I'm going to be doing some forgetting words. We were in Rwanda this year at the start of the genocide memorial period. We didn't really know what to expect. We felt it was important for us to be there at that time to stand with our friends and family. Somehow, and it's too long a story for now, but we found ourselves attending President's Address to the Nation, which was a bit overwhelming, but we heard first-hand accounts of the brutality of the genocide. As one of the men who told his stories, and these stories are never easy, don't get any easier to hear, nor should they. When the President spoke, he reminded us that so many people abandoned their country, and hearing that really churns inside. Somehow it felt personal that we were responsible for abandoning, but he then went on to thank those who had since stood by them and continued to support, and that's when we realise again the difference of charities like this. Actually, we're so honoured to be there, and it was a very humbling experience and one that will live with us for a long, long time. Everyday Rwandan will probably never get the opportunity to attend such an important memorial address. However, so many of them expressed such appreciation that we had been there and almost representing them and standing with them in their grief and memories, but also the hope for their future. Never underestimate the importance of relationships. These people are more than friends, they're our family, and they see us as family who stand with them.
Thanks. Just to say, when Anne talks about relationships, if you do sponsor somebody, if you do get the opportunity, do write to them, because it is so important to, they love that relationship, and they love to know, they love to be able to put a picture to the people that are supporting them. So if you do sponsor someone, then do please, hi Chi, good to see you. Do please give them a wee letter and tell them a bit about yourself, because you matter to them, not just your mum. Michael.
So I was just really share that when you go to Rwanda or anywhere, it's such an emotional roller coaster from one day to the next, from 1 hour to the next. You just don't know what you're going to. You can just see some really amazing transformation. And then 10 minutes later, you're faced with a situation that you think, how am I going to deal with that? How emotional or how can I respond to that? And as your Western ideals, your Western values are challenged day out. But I just think it's, and I just kind of like that, it's so important relationship that we have with people, and that's so wanting you to be there. So don't feel you're just going there to or something like that. It's so important to them. So.
Thank you, Catherine.
I think this probably was the reflection I had when I was there, but often you see God doing things which, from our perspective, seem completely impossible. And one day we started with a devotion that one of the Rwandan ladies led about the dry bones that Ezekiel's vision, and can these bones live? And from a human perspective, it is completely impossible, and yet what you see God doing in Rwanda is a miracle. And the communities in the west of Rwanda are particularly just ones that I have visited a number of times, and I really love to see and visit again. And we spent a morning well, I say the morning, we spent about an hour clearing rocks from a field that was about at that angle in flip-flops, which was not the ideal footwear. And there was a lady that I was working with, because I wasn't totally sure which stones were the right stones to move and which stones should be. So she was choosing the stones, and then I had to throw them up the hill to a little hole where we were collecting them. Initially she gave me quite small stones, and then she thought, well, maybe I could. So the stones got bigger and bigger. They were about this size, and I was lifting them as best I could. And she was like, "Oh, you're quite strong." and I just love that, the humour, that even though you have no language in common, that you can do together. And then later that day, she shared her own testimony. She had spent 3 years in hospital and months in a coma. And yet she was completely healed from all of that period from her life and was now, well, much stronger than I am. And it was great to hear it that way around, to have had that relationship or time that I'd spent with her. But you just hear phenomenal stories of forgiveness that are completely beyond from what you can ever imagine would be possible. And yet alongside that, just like Michael's just shared, that you see such a depth of need. And one of the communities in the West shared about how the floods earlier this year had damaged so many of their homes, but even more devastatingly, all the soil outside their houses where they grew the crops that they live on have been not just damaged, but completely swept away. There was no topsoil left, and all of their plants were gone. And I was just like, what on earth do you do with that? And yet I kept thinking, only God can find a way through a situation. Yet another, they're so vulnerable, even with all the help and the progress that they've made in a night of floods, so much can be taken away from them. So that, a small snapshot of a couple of days.
We had a question mark over Tana. Is it yes or no?
I think Emma's going to say something.
Emma.
I'll give it some memory. So I was on the same trip with Catherine and Tana, and we had a few teenagers with us. And
thank you.
So Tana, my daughter Molly, and Amelie. So just us and me. We spent 2 or 3 days at the Good News Joy Centre, which is so obviously Comfort's been Good News has been one of their partners for a long time, but the Joy Centre is relatively new, and actually we've never been there before. And we ended up there because other people were busy doing other things, and we actually had 3 days at the Joy Centre, and this was so we had a really amazing opportunity to build relationships with other people of the same kind of ages as the girls. So it's they have a vocational training college there, and they have sewing and welding were the 2 things that they were doing at the time. And the 4 of us walked in on the first day, and we were kind of like, okay, I'm not sure what we're going to do. There isn't really a plan here. And we went into the sewing workshop.
About 8 plans.
Well, many plans. We went into the sewing shop, and immediately we were all trying to use the old Singer sewing machines with the foot pedals, and the girls in there were just laughing at us all and having a great time. And then it transpired that they said, okay, we want you to come back and teach us stuff. So it's like, well, you can sew, So Molly and Amelie came back the next day, and they were giving English lessons to the girls. Tara and I gave a very interesting IT lesson in the very limited resources they had. But honestly, it was just the connections we formed and the laughs we had. It was so much fun, and they were like, can you just stay the whole week? And it's like, no, because Colin's going to make us do other stuff, but we'd love to come back. And what we ended up doing, which was amazing, and I think one of the amazing things for me was not only the connections and how but really that they just treated you 3 as if you were just some of the crowd, right? So they're just normal teenagers, right? But also the drive they had. So these kids, they've been, as you'll read in this little brochure thing, there's something like 100 applicants for every 10 places that they have for people to do this vocational training. They're all from really, really, really poor backgrounds. They are so driven. This is they see this as one really big opportunity for them to get some education so that they can go on and do things. And the situation some of them are in to even get themselves there was just completely mind-blowing. And I know those kids are all going to succeed because they just have that belief, and they've got, they know that they're being supported, and just seeing us out there, and we want them to succeed too. I think that really, really was important. So yeah, that's my introduction.
I just wanted to take you to Congo
So a small group of us went into Congo today and this year, and I was just thinking about that verse. It says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his she's again to his power that is at work in us." And I think that whole idea is so much more, because we're still at the hospital, and many of you have supported us over years, and the hospital was a massive project, and we gave and we worked, and so many people raised money, and to see the hospital absolutely overrun, just with patients, with women giving birth, with people needing care and support, and the way that the team there are working with such limited resources. You'll see some of the pictures in the brochure today, the operating bed just in tatters, and yet they're saving lives all the time. And from a place where I remember the first time that Pedro was out in Rwanda, we stood on the kind of breeze-built walls of the hospital being built, and to see where it is, and God has just done so much more with that facility than you could ever ask or think. But then there are moments, many moments, I think Michael said it really well today, totally overwhelming, that it blows every limit in your head, heart, spirit that you got. And because of the conflict situation in Congo at the moment, we were walking through massive refugee camps, hundreds of thousands of people displaced by conflict, living, having lost everything, left their homes, left their fields, left their families, fled maybe with half their family to try and rescue half their family, living in a tiny bit of tarpaulin that you can't even lie flat out in, with a family of 6, with nothing, people starving. I think Fiona will speak about as well. We went to a place where we were just feeding some of the most malnourished children, and the reality is hundreds and thousands of people dying because of the poverty. And one of those camps is right between the new school that we're building, where we stood on the breeze-built walls, just like we stood on the breeze-built walls of the hospital as it was going to be built. We stood on a new school this summer, and in the middle of that, there's these hundreds and thousands of people. And it was one of those overwhelming, heartbreaking moments where you just say, God, this is so much more, so much more. How can we ever meet this need? So you've got the joy of seeing how much more God has done than what you ever imagined was possible. You're seeing this overwhelming need of what is still to come. And I think, as ever, when you're there, it just moves your heart and your faith, because you understand there's actually, we do, with God's help, do an awful lot. But actually, it's almost like nothing you can do in the face of that overwhelming need. And yet these are the people that God has placed us beside. And all these hundreds and hundreds and thousands of children living in refugee camps on the edge of starvation and having no education, and the massive need for schools, the massive need for medical care, the massive need for just survival. It just stirs your faith up again to say, God, you need miracles here, absolutely need miracles, absolutely need God to move. And I think it's maybe taking me back, to some of the early days of comfort, where we just saw miracle after miracle of God just providing and doing things and being amazing. So really, I've come back with a wee fire going, just praying God what miracles in so many different ways. That the need is immense, that God is able to do immeasurably more.
Karen Ross couldn't be with us, but she sent something that Linda's going to read out.
Yeah, these are the words of Karen after a visit to the orphanage in Saki in DR Congo. She says, witnessing the suffering of these wee ones was overwhelming, distressing, heartbreaking, and the images will never leave me. Walking away and doing nothing is not an option. I'm so thankful for the work of our partners, Comfort Congo, and the blessing they are to so many of those in need. and I was truly humbled by their unwavering faith despite the enormous challenges they faced.
Thanks. One of the projects that kind of is in between what God has done and what we're believing for the future, that seems beyond what we can think, is the Transformation Centre, which we've been looking at for a while now. I think almost 5 years, and obviously the COVID years put a real spanner in the works with that. But it was great to be out there in the summer to see the start of the building of the Transformation Centre, which is to be a place of refuge, a place of hope, and a place, as it says, of transformation for the street children. Not just for the street children, but eventually there will be a place for the mums and babies. There will be a place for homeless families. And so it'll be a centre with a number of different purposes and buildings. But the building that's being done at the moment is the home for the street children, which will accommodate 80 street children year after year, because they'll only be there for about a year. So it's got a long, long way to go. It's a huge, huge challenge. And as I say, it's kind of in that middle ground of seeing, rejoicing that God has begun something, and yet being stretched, in a sense, beyond our limits to what needs to get done. But there was a few things that came up recently that just, I think, confirmed the real need for it. One is that we lost two buildings that we've been using for the projects. We lost the Comfort Babies home that had been, some of the mums and babies had been staying in, and we lost the Gatenga Street Kids Rescue Centre. Both of them were rented buildings. Problem with rented buildings is that the person that rents them can take them back, and there is no right of tenure in these sort of situations. So there's a real need for somewhere that is secure, that is not going to make the street kids and the mums and babies homeless. We have thankfully got somewhere else for them, so we're okay. But it just illustrated the need for somewhere permanent. Secondly, the problem, it's easy when you go back to Rwanda to think, wow, this place is developing, things must be getting better, problems must be going away. But the reality with the street children is that, if anything, the problem's getting worse. And we had the Kichichi, one of the districts in Kigali, the leaders of the district have just approached Comfort Rwanda out there, again asking them to take on another 20 children who are living on the streets, and in a very vulnerable situation. And obviously there are logistics in terms of ongoing support and sponsors needed for that kind of stuff. But the main logistical issue at the moment is there isn't really anywhere to put those children. So we need somewhere that will expand the capacity of the project to look after the kids there. And I think the third issue is that this year we really, I think Comfort Rwanda have become a little bit more secure in our love and support. So they were able to open up a wee bit more in terms of some of the problems they're facing on the projects. And one of the problems is the drug addiction of some of the street kids. It's exactly what you were saying. We see absolutely amazing transformation amongst so many kids who are graduating, leaving the program, going on and living independent lives. But there are some kids that are living in an environment of just constant drug taking, which can be anything from sniffing paint thinner right through to whatever. And finding it really, really hard to break free in the environment that they're in. So they need a place of safety to come out of that environment, become transformed, learn to live without substance abuse, and then be integrated into their families. So the CTC, the Comfort Transformation Centre, I think is not going to be an orphanage. It'll be a place where the kid, you're not allowed orphanages in Rwanda. They don't believe that these are the right place for children to be. But the authorities are right behind a transformation centre, because if you take the kids off the street and put them straight back into families, you just have a cycle of them going back on the streets again. They need transformed, they need stabilised, they need supported, they need changed internally, and their families need supported. So that's what the transformation centre will be. So just use this picture here. Right, go back. Right, okay. So that's the transformation centre. That's going to be the home for the street kids. Next picture. So this is in the process of being built, and so it's beginning to take some kind of shape, but there's a long way to go. So I'm going to hand over in a moment to David, who should be with us very shortly, and he'll be able to explain a little bit more about what's going on with that. Do we have David with us? We are hoping to have conversations today with Comfort Rwanda, with Comfort Congo, and with Good News. So we're hoping that it all works. We could always give you another flag in the country. Some of you are still wearing your flags. If you do want to take your flag off, you are welcome. You may not want to go back wearing the flag of Comoros to your hometown. We don't know. Okay, so we have managed to contact David, and he's just about to come on the call. Hello? Hello. Actually, you can only see me. David, you can only see me, which is not great. Okay, so. Can I sit here? Okay, David, just say hello to us so that we can hear.
Hello.
Yeah, fantastic. Great to see you. I'm just going to get my notes here. Do you want to tell us who you've got with you, David?
We have been speaking to our people here about Supporters Day, and many of them were really wanting to see how it looks like on Supporters Day. So today I'm with heads of the projects in different projects we have. Head boys and head girls across all the street projects and comfort babies. Today they wanted to see how it is like on Supporters Day. And you have Pastor Emmanuel with us here.
Hi, Dominic. Hello.
And they wanted to sing for you a song in just 10 seconds, if that is allowed.
Yeah, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, we are going to sing for you in Kinyarwanda and you can sing in English. Our God is awesome God. Okay? Imana yakirahambaye mw'ijuru no mw'isi bwe mbaraga n'urukundo Imana irahambaye Imana yakimana yakirahambaye mw'ijuru mw'isi bwe imbaraga mu rukundo Imana irahambaye.
Fantastic. I got the microphone taken out of my hand there, David, but if not, you would have heard me too. So it's lovely to see you all, and we just want to say thank you so much for all the team, for all the hard work that they do, and for being part of the whole team at Comfort Rwanda. So bless you all.
Thank you.
David, yeah, you want to translate? David, I've just been saying a little bit about the Transformation Centre. Can you remind us of your vision for the Transformation Centre, and especially the home for the street kids that's under construction at the moment?
Thank you very much. Transformation Centre is hub for all the activities we are doing, and it is really designed to meet the needy that we cannot meet today. For example, nowadays we are in the domain of social protection, where I work with the kids most of the times, and the kids we are supporting today. Now there's a very big cases here where they are using a lot of drugs than before, which our programs now are not able to meet or address at the moment. But with the transformation vision, that will be able to meet all the needs and address all the problems of the kids today. Most of the kids today here are now starting to use heroin, which was not there in the past. And among the beneficiaries, we have only one child only one child who has used cocaine and heroin. But now the street kids nowadays are very dangerous to the communities, and the government has been really advising that we need a strong system that will be able to address those problems now the government is facing. So our Transformation Centre is really going to be transformative tool that will help us to support the kids from poverty and overcome the barriers of living a better life.
Thanks, David. One of the things that we saw when we were out in the summer was to be able to celebrate so many of the kids now graduating and having their businesses. Some of them have got land, some of them have built homes, some of them have got jobs. We were able to celebrate Grace's university degree and things like that. How much of a challenge has it been to get the children on the projects through to a place of self-sustainability?
I don't know if I can just talk about what you said there. Generally, we have 500 beneficiaries across the projects in Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan, and 73 beneficiaries have graduated, and 22 are preparing to graduate until the next year, January, and 5 of beneficiaries have built their own houses. 5 beneficiaries are now professional drivers. They are doing the job outside. 2 beneficiaries are doing international businesses where they book flights and work in different countries. And 296 beneficiaries are integrated into families. And 5 of the beneficiaries have done weddings after they have been supported to prepare themselves. So to reach there, we had so many challenges, especially about the kids who have been abandoned with no family connections, where we have to play 2 roles, become parents and become supporters as well. And that has been a little bit challenging. For example, this is Ndahai. He's from Batsinda project. Ndahai has been not seeing his mother for 17 years. And he met his mother just recently in the summer when the group was here. So you can imagine having Ndahai staying in the Batsinda house for so many years, having no connection with the families. And today he has connected to the family. And this is the work we are trying to do, but challenging there is that we are playing two roles. And with regards to the work in general, the challenges you have are the kids who have really used a lot of drugs, where today it is very difficult and they need really a lot of support. And sometimes it requires a multi-sectoral approach, support from government, support from different people, churches, so that you can address those problems. But still, the children and the moms that come for babies, they have been wounded by the past. And that continues to be a very big challenge for us as we continue fighting together to address that. And another challenge, which is really quite big, is about the people who are really still struggling very much, living in poverty, and they come to the project asking support, and we don't have enough sponsors. And sometimes it is sad that some people ask support when they don't get that, results death. That happened to Comfort Babies, where one of the babies being rescued together with the team which visited in the summer. One of the baby was rescued, but within a few days the baby died. So there are people dying out there because we don't have enough support. It is sometimes challenging when we are giving support and we get other poor people coming around the project just begging for food or begging support to go to school. That is really challenging, and we are hoping as we continue to work together to address that and get people supported, because so many people are still in need.
Thank you, David. David, did children and the mums and babies enjoy the teams coming out in the summer?
Oh my goodness, that has been really touching. After a number of years, because of COVID-19, many kids and babies' moms were not able to meet the groups. But for this summer, it has been really so special to them because they are continuing speaking about the teams. We have enjoyed really all activities, going out, sharing lunch. Actually, the fact the teams were really able to approach to every level, that really impacted the children very much, where they continue talking to us about the teams when they are coming back. And that helped them in healing the process, because they feel loved by different people. When you have the groups here, sharing lunch, playing together, just doing everything together, going out as you have done, just reminding them that they are valued, they are so special, that help us as well really to keep leading them. It has been so amazing and so nice to have the groups on the ground, and we feel you guys have to come and stay longer.
David, sometimes when people visit Rwanda, they see how quickly it's developing, and they ask the question, well, Rwanda seems to be making progress, it seems to be doing well. Is there still the same need for the projects as there was in years gone by? What would you say to that?
Rwandan development actually based on different departments, partnerships. Rwandan growth and development based on the partnerships. Organizations have been really playing a very big role in that. Nowadays, when you see so many young people suffering on the streets and organizations are playing their role of rescuing them, that helps the country to develop. And that is why we as Comfort Rwanda, we have partnered with the government and we work together right with the Rwandan police who are responsible to prevent crimes and different departments. And that helps the Rwanda to continue developing in different sectors because there are different people playing different roles. If we have now 400 beneficiaries and 5 here in Rwanda supported, those kids supposed to go on the streets. But because of international sponsorship and support, those kids today, they are living really hopeful life, which is really different from their backgrounds. And that shows exactly what Rwanda is developing from. Our involvement, our input really means a lot in the development of Rwanda.
Thank you. The Comfort Babies project has come a long, long way since 2015 when it began. I can see some of the mums there. Give us a wave if you're in the Comfort Babies project. And it's been so good to see some of those that have graduated from the project still helping out. So sometimes when we speak to people about what they want to do in the future, they say, "Oh, I'd like to help other people like me," and it's great to see that's actually happening. What makes you happiest about the Comfort Babies project?
So many things make me really happy, and the rest of my team. Comfort Babies, it's really different from Street Kids projects because Comfort Babies is kind of designed to address the two big issues. One is to prevent kids to grow in poverty where they become street children, and also it is to save babies from deaths. As you have seen yourselves, we have lost a number of babies in the past because you had not enough support for them. So it means Comfort Babies have been saving lives, and also we have been preparing people to become very important, to become valued, and to prepare themselves for their future that they want to achieve in ahead. So Comfort Babies is really, it is kind of addressing the problem from the root, if that makes sense. Yeah. So Comfort Babies makes me really happy when we save lives, when you see babies growing and developing and becoming really growing well in a good environment. That helps us to really to learn much more about the work we are doing in addressing the problems. But it really makes us happy when we see babies developing along Baker Hoyle and the big team in the UK who are working with us. It is really so amazing to see what is happening here. I can tell you, for example, you see the moms here, like Clementine. This is Clementine, whose parents were killed during the genocide, and she was on her own. She grew in different families, and later on, she had a husband who passed away, and we found her with her baby, who born at 900 grams, and Clementine had nowhere to go, and Comfort Babies needed to be there, Comfort Babies support. And now Clementine is in a Comfort Babies home, and the baby is attending the school, and Clementine is preparing for the future. So that is really great work Comfort Babies is doing. It's addressing the problem from the root.
Yeah. David, talking about the future, what are your hopes for the future of Comfort Rwanda?
My hope for Comfort Rwanda in the future, we hope that we will be able to support so many people so that they can live. We can help them to create hope and a future for them, and they become who they need to be. Because our key goal as an organization is to help people overcome barriers and limitations of living really satisfying and abundant life. And our goal is to continue growing and expanding and reaching to those who are in need in different places, in different areas, and we help them to move out of darkness and they come to the light where they are able to live better life.
Thank you so much. Listen, that's been fantastic to talk to you, David, and thank you so much for having the team there. It's great to see them all behind you. So I'm going to ask everybody to give you a big wave and a big cheer.
I'm sorry, one of them is complaining, asking if Becca Hoyle is there.
Well, Becca is just going to speak for a few minutes now. So if you want to stay on the call, you can stay for a few minutes and listen to Becca.
Can she lift up the hands? The moms. I'm sorry.
Becca, come to the front.
It's so nice to see you all. I should have worn my t-shirt. Sorry, I've not worn my Comfort Babies t-shirt.
They said they love you so much. Thank you.
So unfortunately, Becca's going to need to use a laptop, so we're going to have to say goodbye to you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Bless you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. That's really nice to see them all. So my name's Becca Hoyle, or I also quite happy to go by Becca Hoyley. So that's really nice. I've been given 4 minutes to tell you about our trip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show 4 highlights from our trip. So in April of this year, Michael and Anne have already spoken. Myself and Lindsay, I don't think Lindsay's here, we're the Comfort Babies UK team, and we went out to spend a week with just Comfort Babies. So it was a different kind of a trip because it was a single focus trip. And so we'll just go back to the start. So when I first got involved in Comfort Babies in 2016, we had 1 sponsored baby. So if we go on, I suppose one of the main things that impacted me was just, as Izzy was saying, just the progress, immeasurably more than we could have imagined. We've now helped 112 babies. One of them this week's been added and isn't yet born. So really, really at the root, as David was saying, 112 babies. When we arrived, we discovered that they now had their very own Comfort Babies nursery. So this was nursery. This was really good to see because it showed us the impact in the community. Some of the kids coming to the nursery are not through the project, and they're just welcoming in other kids from the community. These teachers down here are members of the local community working in partnership with David. So I just saw the resourcefulness of the Comfort Rwanda team. They were trying to address the problem of how we pay for nursery fees. So what you do is you set up your own nursery and don't charge yourself fees. So that works. So that was really, really nice to see, and just the scale of the project and the resourcefulness of the team. This is exciting too because David mentioned there about people that are graduating on from sponsorship. Our vision for a long time has been helping people to get off sponsorship, set up their own lives, be independent, self-sufficient. So this lady here, for example, Jocelyn, she set up a little stall making grinding cassava leaves, and we gave her a grant for £250 to buy the machine. She's now thriving, self-sufficient, off sponsorship. And one of the highlights while we were there was this group of mums. We had 17 who had finished sponsorship and had decided that they still wanted to retain their Comfort Babies identity, and they were going to set up a savings cooperative. So 17 mums coming together, they wanted to present to us their idea and their vision for what they were going to do, and they got it going. And it was a business meeting. They talked through their proposals for their corporate savings, and then we ended with singing and dancing. So it was fun. This is the Ministry of Spreadsheets, which is Michael's terrain. But we actually really intentionally spent a lot of time during that week with David, with the Comfort Rwanda team. We realised how important it was to give them time to talk about their work, to talk us through their daily lives and what it involves and what the challenges are. And we tried to give them as much support as possible. This was Lindsay introducing David to the concept of a calendar and the year planner. And here we are going through spreadsheets here. So it was really important. And I think the team in Rwanda felt supported by that. And that was one of the main purposes of our visit. And well, we've carried on. So this is a screenshot from our monthly meetings. So we are now managing to pin David down to a monthly meeting to talk about the project, what the developments are, and what the challenges are, and really support him as much as possible through that. And was there one more? I think there's one more. So really, I think what impacted me was God asks you to do your bit, and you do your bit, and you leave the rest to him. And this was one of an amazing story. This lady, Immaculate, and her wee boy, Chris, had joined the project the week before we arrived in April. Their rescue story is really, really amazing. And you should ask David to tell you the full story at some point. But basically, God asked David to go to a mountain, and he was a bit like, I'm not sure about that. I think I maybe had God wrong. So he just didn't go. And then a couple of months later, a different person came up to him, he didn't know, and said, God told you to go to a mountain and you didn't go. So he thought, I better go. So he went, and he met this lady, Immaculate, who was living on the mountain because God had told her to go on a mountain and wait for the person he was sending to rescue her. And this is Immaculate, and she's now learning to sew, and she's doing really, really well. But it was amazing to meet her, and just humbling. David's really busy. David had many excuses. He could have said no to that task, but he did it. And that's one family that's been rescued. This toilet is quite special. Yeah. Michael and Annie were with me, very involved in the Ukrainian refugee community where they live. And before they went on the trip, a Ukrainian refugee family gave Anne money and said, we want you to take this and bless someone in Rwanda. How many excuses could they have had for not doing that? And yet, when we got there, we decided to spend the money buying a toilet for the Comfort Babies house. So this is some of our most vulnerable mums living in community who now have a toilet. They love it so much that for the first month, they just cleaned it or looked at it. I believe they're now using it. I was so moved by all of that, where the money had come from, who the money was going to, what we were buying, how basic that is, but how transformational it is. So whatever God's asking you to do, just step out in faith and do it, and He'll do the rest.
Thank you so much for that, Becca. That's really amazing. I am just here to share very briefly with you some updates on the Comfort International feeding project. So that is just something that we launched last year at Supporters Day. So we're 1 year on from launching the feeding project. I just wanted to give you a very quick update on how they're going. Perfect. Yeah. If you just move that on, that'd be great. So yeah, so we launched these last year. So these are in partnership with Good News International, who we're about to hear from very shortly. So this was based on two main projects to tackle hunger in a very poor area of Rwanda called Bisesero. So if you move on, the first project was a nursery nutrition project. So this was a feeding program providing a nutritious porridge breakfast in the morning for children who are at risk or indeed suffering from malnutrition at nursery. And there were two main aims of this. It was to reduce malnutrition and also to encourage children to be going to nursery and to go on to encourage them to go into school. And the second project was the school feeding programme. So this is following the Rwandan government subsidising school meals for children in Rwanda. But parents were asked to give a contribution which was as little as about £2 a month in some schools, depending on the school. But what we were finding was that some families were so poor that they were not managing to even afford the £2 a month for their children. So some or all of their children were not managing to have lunch at school. They were watching on at other people having lunch, passing the whole day at school without eating anything. And this was obviously having a huge effect on them. So with Good News International, we started supporting these. What I want to do today is almost 1 year on, just show you what an impact that has had on people. So people went away from Supporters Day last year. They took it to their schools, to their businesses, their friends and family. Some people took it upon themselves to start supporting. And I just want to show you what an impact that has had. So this is the feedback from Barara Nursery, where we've been doing the nursery nutrition. You can see on the left here, this is before we started helping in September last year. The green children are the children that were in good health, not showing any signs of malnutrition. Yellow children are the children that are showing some signs of malnutrition. The red children are the children that are showing severe or multiple signs of malnutrition. So that would be things like the kwashiorkor, the pot belly, the hair changes, visible changes of malnutrition. So you can see that after 6 months of help, by March this year, there were no children showing severe signs of malnutrition at this nursery through that programme, which is just amazing. And the number of children showing any signs at all has greatly reduced. So this project has had a real and tangible difference on these children. The school feeding programme, we've also seen some amazing results, and I've just filled out some little highlights here. So one of the most obvious things is attendance. So we have seen an increase on total attendance on an average of 41.3%. So that equates to almost an extra day in school for children. So almost every child is getting an extra day in school because they're receiving school meals. We've seen a 13.7% improvement in grades. And just so you understand, this is when we started the programme, our partners at Good News International took some baseline data from 40 children who were receiving support, and they went back 6 months later and took the baseline from the same children again. So this is a snapshot of 40 children who've been supported through the feeding projects. At the end of it, 100% were saying that they were happy, and 80% of children were behaving better according to their teachers. So what we see is these children that were not going to school, not performing in exams, behaving badly in their classes, is not because they're bad children, it's because they're hungry. And being able to provide school meals for these children, allowing them to concentrate on what really matters, has really had an impact. So there's another graphic here which just shows you the same thing. So the green is before, the gold is after. So that's percentage attendance has gone up, grade score has gone up.
And this last column, children were asked before they were eating whether they would consider themselves happy, unhappy, very happy, or so on. So less than 25% of children saying that they were happy before, 100% of children saying that they were happy afterwards. So those are the results that we have. If you want to look at it a bit more in detail, we have these reports which go into a little bit more detail of the impact that the feeding projects have had. So feel free to have a browse of those, they're dotted about throughout. Just very quickly, we've been really inspired by the success of these projects and the impact that they've had on children. On the back of the COVID pandemic and also the war in Ukraine, food prices in Africa have really gone up. We're obviously facing a cost of living crisis here, and our friends in Africa are facing a very severe cost of living crisis as well. So the price of food has shot up drastically. And what we are finding is that we really need to be rolling out this support to other people as well, now that we can sort of see the effect that it's having. So due to the success of these projects, we're going to be expanding the feeding projects. And I'm just going to very quickly run through some of the projects that are going to be receiving help. Just to know, if you are or you know someone who is supporting the feeding projects, if that's designated towards any of the school feeding programme or the nursery nutrition, it will continue to go to them directly. This is for undesignated funds for feeding projects will be rolled out to these other projects. So Street Kids Rescue projects in Rwanda, DRC and Burundi. These projects are normally covered by sponsorship, but we are receiving requests from our partners for extra budget for food because the cost of food is so high. So this money will go towards making sure that every single street child on our Street Kids Rescue project has enough to eat. The same is true for the Children of Liberty. So these are the ex-child soldiers in Congo, making sure that they have enough to eat. Child support in South Sudan, we were recently reading an article which highlighted South Sudan as the poorest country in the world right now. There are families and children who are on the brink of starvation, hundreds and thousands, and they are really suffering from a hunger crisis in South Sudan. So what we have is a child support programme which is providing support for children and families in South Sudan. So this will allow emergency food for these families and these children. You'll recognise the Central Hospital in Rosario in DR Congo. We do actually have a nutritional wing set up in the Central Hospital in Rosario, which is offering nutritional support for families who, as a result of the conflict, have been displaced, and they are extremely malnourished and at risk of starvation and death as well. So the nutritional wing is set up to provide advice, but also food for those that need it. So this will allow us to stock that wing. And finally, I'm not going to go into this in great detail because we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but there are about 300 children who have gathered in Saki orphanage, as it's been dubbed. These are children there are 107 orphans and 193 other children who are greatly malnourished. This is a very emergency situation, so there are children who are extremely malnourished and really on the brink of starvation. So this fund will provide emergency feeding for these children as well. So that's just to give you an idea of how successful the feeding projects have been and how they're going to be helping people going forward. Thank you so much for getting involved. If you do want to get involved, there are a number of ways you can do so. We certainly don't want to be taking money away from other projects, so we would love for you to get in touch with your schools, your businesses. If you want to talk to your schools, businesses, friends, family, please come and see me. I have welcome packs that I can give you. If you'd like to set off a one-off donation, your money will go a very long way with these, or regular giving. £2 a month is enough to pay school meals for children for a month. So it's just really impactful. So thank you so much to everybody who's been involved. Well done to our partners at Good News International, and we're just going to be speaking to them very, very shortly. I think Rebecca's going to be getting Ben and Clement on the line just now.
Then you turn your camera on the other side.
That's it. That's it. Hey, Okay, guys, we can't see you at the moment. I think maybe your camera has got dislodged. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, that's fantastic. If you can just work at your video, that would be great. Great to see you both. Clement, you're looking so smart. I'm jealous.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Saluti is now the general. Look at here.
We're not seeing you. Your camera doesn't seem to be connected or on. I don't know if you can maybe just check that for us. Yes, that's it. Okay. No, you are now sideways. Okay. Right. We'll just keep going. All right. So can we give you a wave? Everybody give them a wave.
Good to see you, everyone.
Thank you, Ben. Bless you so much. Guys, can you just tell us how are things at Good News and how are you guys personally?
Okay, the good news, we praise God for everything. And all communities now are back to normal situation. 4 years ago now, we've been gathering as we usually do. But since last year, we're able to gather again, and every community come together. So we praise God for that. And everybody now is the communication is very easy, and so everybody's doing good.
And how are you, Ben? People always ask, how is your health?
Yeah, I since 3 months ago, 2.5. I'm not coughing as I usually do. So all the medication I got from Belgium are responding positively. I can sleep a little bit and like 4 hours at least. Before I wasn't. So the strength, I'm getting more strength, and I'm very happy.
That's fantastic. Great. And Clement, are you well?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Me personally, I'm doing well. I'm in good health. My family, they are all doing well. My wife and my children have been to Kibuye since last 1 month. She was working there, and she took the children with her. So I brought them back on Sunday. So I'm very happy to be reunited with them after 1 month. So I'm very happy and my family is doing well.
Just remind us, Clement, how many children you got? What are their ages? What are the names?
I have 2 children. My first daughter is 4 years old. So she's going to start the second year of nursery next week. So she's 4 years old. My son is
What's your daughter called?
Hmm?
What's your daughter called?
Oh, my daughter is called Wiza Kate Ayla.
Okay. And your son?
She's 4 years old. And my son is 1.5 years. He's called Ganza Kenneth Avisha.
Kenneth's a good Scottish name, by the way.
Yeah,
So is Isla.
And Isla is also.
So Isla is on, yes. Glen Isla is just up the road from us, but we'll not get into that. So
meaning is he half Scottish?
He is, yes. Obviously, a big focus.
Also, he has been in the holiday, so he's relaxing now. So, for the first time, he took about 10 days, so he's now relaxed.
He's come back with a tan as well, so that's great. Obviously, a big focus of our partnerships is the communities at Karongi, and one of the things that you've been busy working on is a new village for homeless people at Gashita. Do you want to say us a little bit about the Gashita housing project?
Yeah, actually, we have been having some challenges a little bit from beginning with the partnership we had with the district, but in the end we were able to achieve all houses, 20 houses, but not achieving, but 10 houses. Actually now we accommodated 20 families in 10 duplicate houses. So the 5 are well done and finished. The challenge we have is the other 5 houses. the 10 families are living in those houses, but they are not finished. So we come to with a budget. I think we said to you, Callum, we need about 12 million, almost 12.5 million francs to finish those 5 houses so that the village will be completed. So, but then still up to this point, the 20 houses are living in those houses, but we need to improve a little bit those 5 houses which are not done yet.
Okay, so just explain to folk that it's 5, what do you call them? Duplex, yeah, that's the word. 5 duplex, so 10 houses. So thanks, guys. Ailey has just been saying a little bit to everybody about the feeding program. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about how important the feeding program is to Good News?
Yeah, the feeding program, I just talk especially for the Birara Nursery School, because that's the one that Comfort International has been supporting, and it has really been a great impact for the children. When we started supporting that program at Birara Nursery School, there were so many children who were attending the school, but they were presenting malnutrition signs, mostly those young ones. And another problem they had was that there were also many other children who were not willing to come to study because they had no breakfast at their homes. So it was always a challenge for the parents to send the children to the nursery school when they knew that the children would be hungry all day. So when the Comfort International and Good News started supporting the program, it has motivated the parents or to send the children, because when we started, the school always had about between 35 and 45 children who were attending the school. But at the end of last year, we had 75 children who were attending the school, which already means it's a great impact. Another thing was about the malnutrition signs. Last year when we started, there were about 12 children who were presenting the malnutrition signs, but at the end of the year, none of them were having malnutrition signs. All of them were in a good state. So it was really a great impact that Comfort International is having there with the malnutrition program. The children are getting food, they are getting some milk. So it was really, really good, and it has a big impact.
Thanks, Clement. Now, one of the things that's really in your heart is to impact the young generation, and Good News International has the Joy Centre out on the edge of the city, and you're doing a lot of vocational training out there at the Joy Centre. Can you tell us a little bit about the background of the young people that are coming to the Joy Centre and what your hopes are for them?
Yeah, as you have been there several times, you were able to meet some of the children. Most of them, actually all of them, they are coming from poor families in the area, especially those ones who dropped out of schools, who were not able to finish their secondary schools and university. So they are coming from poor family, and some of them also were street boys and girls who were thieves and doing bad things. But when we recruit them to come to study at Joy Center, change first their life, because one of our objective is not only to impact them with vocational skills, but also to change their lives spiritually and emotionally, because we know when we change them spiritually, it will also help them for long life, not only to equip them with 6 months training, but also to impact them in spiritual life. So they're mostly the young kids from poor families, from the streets, who are thieves and doing other things on the street because they were not able to finish their education, their formal education, like secondary schools and university.
And I know, Ben, your hope is to keep expanding the vocational training that you're doing.
Yeah, actually, some of the challenges we are having is the carpentry workshop, because the space where the welding program, the sewing program are, it's not big enough, and we need to add the carpentry. So one of the challenges we have is to set up, at least to start with it's a big project, but we need to do in phases, where we need to start at least to have a carpentry workshop as soon as we can, so that we can have enough space for them.
And one of the big tragedies earlier in the year was the flooding in May. And obviously some of the people here were on the groups that heard some of the testimonies about that, but there's a lot of people here who weren't there and who didn't hear that. Over 130 people died and 5,000 homes were destroyed. What effect did those floods have on the Good News communities and the members of those communities?
Yeah, as we have been saying, that the floods were something which was which was unusual in Rwanda, because we have never had such flooding many years ago. But the last time in May, it was really a terrible night when it happened, especially in the all of Western province, especially in the district of Rubavu, Karongi, and Nyamasheke. And in those three districts, we have communities in Karongi and Nyamasheke, where we have a Karenjera community. But most of the community which were affected was from Karongi. That's where we find many people and many houses which were destroyed. So according to the testimonies from people in our communities, as we were visiting them last time, we were happy and lucky that none of them died. Among the 130 people who died, none of them were from our community. So we praise God already that there is none who were killed by the flooding. But as they have been sharing the testimony, many of them have lost the crops that they had in the field, because many of the fields were washed away, and the landslides have taken away everything they had in the fields. Last time when we said in the summer, who said that they had pineapple or sweet potatoes fields, but everything was washed away. So which was really a big problem for them to know what they will feed the children, their families in the future. And we have also had the testimonies of some people whose houses were cracked, and some parts of the houses were destroyed, not already completely the house, but some parts of them. So last week when I was talking with Edith and Zabron, president of Mubuga and Gishita communities, in both communities we have about 25 houses which were affected in those two communities. In Karenjera it was not too much because it's somehow far away, but in Gishita and Mubuga, that's where we have some houses, about 25 houses which were affected, and and many other families which lost their crops. So this SRO were safe because they are on the top, and Karenjera were safe. So Mubuga and Gishita were the ones who were mostly affected.
Thank you so much. I want to just bring to people's attention the lovely shield that you guys gave us when we were out there. So this is a gift from Good News, and it says, to the trustees and staff of Comfort International, on behalf of all the Good News staff and beneficiaries, we'd like to thank you very much for your great support to our organisation. You're the true hand of God in our service to the vulnerable people of Rwanda. Through your love and your ministry of presence, many families who were hopeless are now hopeful. God bless you. Philippians 1:6. So we've got that on display, guys, and just really appreciate your thoughtfulness in that. We don't really have time, but I'll take, is there one question anybody wants to ask Ben and Clement while they're there? Okay. All right. Okay, so guys, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to say finally before we go?
Yeah, actually, we want to take this opportunity to give thanks and gratitude on our partnership and the cooperation. We've been serving each other and serving our communities with you, and we really praise God that working together is really a blessing, and we thank you for everyone who's impacting Good News International to achieve their goals and their vision.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Bless you. Can we give you a big wave? Big cheer. Bless you so much. Thanks a lot.
Bless you too.
Right, thanks everybody. We're going to take a little break now for tea and coffee. So as Rebecca mentioned, there's toilets at the back and down the corridor if you'd like to use them. There's lots of tea and coffee and tray bags, so please make yourselves at home. I'd just like to bring to your attention the crafts that are around here. If anybody's interested in having a craft stall at their church, then please speak to Ian, who's going to wave at us. He's at the back there. He will set you up with a craft stall for your church. And the final thing to mention is that we mentioned there the floods. We have been running an appeal over the summer to help raise money for the floods and also for the school in Congo. We'll be talking about later. There are posters around the room. That appeal is ending tomorrow, just to make you aware for that. But thank you for your time. I think we should come back at 12 o'clock. I know it's a very short break, but we are running a little bit behind. The Africans are putting us to shame with their timing. So if we could be back here at 12 o'clock, that would be great. Thank you.
It's great to see you. Hello, many years. When did you leave the learner?
We've just done our 17th wedding anniversary.
Yes. Yeah, I think maybe once or twice when we were still in you were back visiting, but
sometimes I come back, it's family in West London.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we're not.
You're not there.
No, because we moved to Motherwell. Yeah. Time moves on.
We went back on the years ago, back for the evening service, and I was sitting next to Hazel Kate and people chatting. The person in front turned around and said, "Oh, right, so this was the have you ever been to St. Albans before?" Hazel just fell about laughing at this point. It would be really, really upsetting if we still knew everybody who was there.
Hopefully they keep moving because they're going. They're going.
So you're still based in Oldham?
Yeah, just outside. Yeah.
Is it Art Chatham you're at?
Well, no, it's
Right.
Art.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still in the same place. We're at the reception.
Yes. No, we were thinking, as I was saying to Andrew, we were thinking of you twice over the summer because we have driven over the Connell Bridge twice in the summer. We cycled over the first time. You may well have been, yeah. So yeah, we were doing the Campbelltown to Inverness cycle ride, and that comes over the Connell Bridge. So we couldn't remember where you lived, but we knew it was somewhere around there. I know, but that was 17 years ago, so I've forgotten. And then we were going to Skye on holiday 3 or 4 weeks ago. The weekend before, we'd been on a road trip taking folk around Scotland and got up through Glencoe, so we didn't want to go that way. So we went over Rest and be thankful up Kilmartin, and then so we were going over the Connell Bridge again.
Yeah.
So
So when you were in Skye, did you go to
we were out to Hebrides, yeah.
Andrew's sister.
All right.
Oh, right on the here.
Right.
Yes, we saw pictures of it here.
So it's got a shop in Portree as well.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it's all kind of I've gone from west, well, born in Edinburgh, went to Aberdeen, went down to Bristol, back to Edinburgh.
Yes.
Now we're away.
Yes.
Yeah.
You still involved in Oban Baptist Church?
Yes.
Yes.
Not many days, but by choice.
Yes.
But, yeah, they're planning on raising that whole ground. They've got the hall and the original cottage. Way back when it was actually the man's.
Right.
And we now run a table show. It's a mother and toddler group.
Right.
Used for that. They're actually using a whole lot of
Right.
So the plans are at the present moment
Yes.
waiting for them to answer questions and answer on their desk.
Yes.
We've done all the whole community chats and all the rest of it. It's too bad. There are a few people that were against one or two people, because it was, they thought really that building should be, if it's not already, it should be listed.
Yes.
So we had to go through the process of, is this building to be listed or not? And as far as it being said, no, there's no reason why this building should be on any list.
So you can knock it down and start again.
So we're just waiting on the council to come with their decision. And then we need a detail.
Mind the detail. I'm going to go and get some coffee.
So am I. I'm not even a breakfast.
Yes. Oh, have you driven here this morning? Yeah. What's that, 3 hours?
Yeah. Because I was looking after Martin's dogs and Tesco's.
All right.
He took the 3 dogs back to his. So, yeah. So you're going to pop?
No. Well, I had one this morning, but I think
That's enough.
I'll come get some training.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got to cancel this to take the state necessary. I mean, I was a good for the price and it used to drive the so I mean, we were asking the prices. Sure of that. But I'm sure there's ways of synergetic
with the seeding program. Yeah.
Yeah, I like stroke 4 years ago.
We are about to start. We are starting back soon, soon, soon.
No, just told myself here.
Thank you, everyone. If you can please make your way back to your seats. We'll start in like few seconds. So counting down again. 10, 9, 8, 7. I forgot. It's 8 again. 8. 6. We back to seats again. Thank you so much for responding. Now I will give Callum the mic, and then we'll be speaking about DRC next. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks everybody for a hasty retreat to your seats. We're not doing too bad. Yeah. Okay, we're going to talk. We are. Okay, I told that we are. We're going to talk a little bit about the work in Congo now. I just want to give you just a little bit of background, because the situation in Congo is quite complex. In Rwanda, there's a situation that's fairly easy to understand in terms of what has happened to the country. In Congo, it's a bit more complicated. And back in the early part of the century, when Henry Stanley went up the Congo River, basically what he realized was that the Congo River was the entrance into the center of Africa, which at that time had largely been left untouched by the Europeans. And when he kind of came back to Europe and told people about that, King Leopold of Belgium thought, oh, I'll get my fingers on that. And he basically took over personally as the King of Belgium, the Congo, in order to exploit the possibilities of inland Africa. He was a terrible, horrible despot as a colonial ruler who caused untold harm and impoverished the country, killed the people, and just messed up everything. Unfortunately, after the Congo became independent, there was one ruler at the beginning who wasn't too bad, but then Mobutu came into power, and Mobutu again was a terrible, just a terrible man in terms of corruption, in terms of power, in terms of the way that he got rid of people, etc., etc. So he was in power for about 3 decades, and it was while he was in power that the genocide in Rwanda happened. When the genocide in Rwanda was finishing, the people who committed the genocide fled Rwanda, and they took many of the Hutus with them, telling them that if they stayed, they would be subject to revenge killings. And so they had these huge big camps in Congo, which became run by the militias who had fled from Rwanda. They carried on actually killing ethnic Tutsis within Congo, planning raids back into Congo, back into Rwanda, and basically destabilizing that whole area. And what happened from then was that because the country was already so unstable and corrupt and in such a bad situation, all sorts of other tribes armed themselves for defense, and the place became awash with weapons, awash with armies, so that there became dozens and dozens and dozens of different armies all fighting each other and all pretending it was the other person's fault. So what happened back in 2009 was that the government attempted to bring some of those militias into the Congolese army as part of the regular army. And they tried to do that on March the 23rd, 2009, hence the name of one of the groups, M23, March the 23rd, M23 rebel group. That had minimal success, with the result that a lot of the militias who joined the army then came back out again and started fighting the government again. One of those was the M23, who had been established to protect the Tutsi population in that part of Congo. And so the problem has just grown and grown, with different armies, different groups all fighting each other, everybody blaming each other. The Congolese government blames Rwanda for supporting the M23. The M23 blames the Congolese government for supporting the ex-genocidaires. They all blame each other. The Bible says, "Blessed are the peacemakers," but they're not really got that yet. So that's the situation. And then it's exacerbated by the fact that Congo has a lot of very valuable minerals under its ground. If you want to know more about that, speak to my lovely wife, who is trying to do some work with Pearl International to deal with some of the problems that come out of that. But basically, the armed groups used the minerals as a resource for arms and as a power base as well. And so some of the work we do in the area is amongst mining towns that have been subject to those kind of conflicts and massacres. So that gives you a little bit of a background as to what Fiona's going to share with us now, which in some senses is the consequences of all that. And allied into that, of course, you have the local volcano Nyiragongo, which is exploding every 20 years and causing a lot of damage as well. So yeah, I'm going to hand over to Fiona.
Hi everybody, I just want to say right at the beginning that there's a number of pictures of me posing that have been shown this morning, but I do actually do some work when I'm out in Africa. It doesn't look that way. Anyway, I've been given the topic of DRC Congo. This year was my 8th year going into Congo. By far was the most challenging and difficult. It certainly was, as we mentioned before, a really emotional roller coaster. And there were many highs. There was lots of times where we laughed, but there was also many times where your heart was just breaking. So forgive me if I'm going to try and do this without crying. I've tried a few times to speak, just talking to myself, but it hasn't worked. I've cried every time, so I'm hoping I've shed the tears and I won't cry this morning. Okay, so I'm just going to take you on that journey with me, just on the things that we did, trying to pick out some of the highs and some of the lows. So the first day that we arrived in Congo, we went to visit, we saw the Children of Liberty, who are wearing Dumbarton football strips, and we couldn't remember how they got there, but in actual fact I had packed them in a case last year and forgotten that. So anyway, we took that picture back with us and took it to the football stadium, and they've actually put it on one of their match programmes, and they're hoping to support the Children of Liberty, ex-child soldiers. We also visited the Friends of Jesus, Street Kids Rescue, which was amazing, and there was also a group, I'm not sure how these slides work, so forgive me if I'm backwards forwards, but there is a group of Hiroshima women who are rape survivors, who travelled many miles to see us because where they stay was not safe for us to go. So it was great to see them. Billy and I also had a great time with our mother and baby that we sponsor and support in Congo. And there they are there. And it was just lovely to see them. This is my first time meeting them and my first time seeing the Friends of Jesus project, because last year, sadly, I caught COVID in Rwanda and didn't get to travel to Congo. That Sorry, thank you. So yeah, our mum and baby's not a baby, as a lot of the babies in the Comfort Babies projects are, but she's a little girl who's now going into primary 2 and is doing extremely well. There are still some challenges, obviously, for mum, not working, but they are doing well. So I had a great time with them all. We played some games, we listened to some stories, we played with the Hiroshima women in particular. And I think in the video at the beginning it showed them when we said we were going to pray for them, they all went down on their knees. So we just knelt down with them and prayed with them. So that was a really good time. The next bit's one of the hard bits. So the next day we went to the hospital, and that was really challenging. This video has already been on. This video really doesn't show the extent, because this camp went on for miles and was as far as the eyes could see. It was just heartbreaking to see the number of white tents and how people were living through no fault of their own, because of all the fighting that they had to flee their homes. And there was a wee picture at the beginning in the first video where Karen was speaking to one of the women, and you saw the size of her house that she was living in, the tent, not big enough to even put a mattress in, even if they had a mattress to put down. So they're sleeping curled up on this kind of rock. That's how they're sleeping. It's just overwhelming. There doesn't also seem to be any support for food. There's no support going into these people at all. So they really are struggling to survive. There's about 5 camps in total in and around Goma, and there's over 1 million people living in these camps. It is just horrendous, and you can't drive through that and see that without being impacted by it. And it's quite difficult to process. And the scale of the need is just overwhelming. But we have a God that's a God of miracles. So as Becca quite rightly said, we do our bit and let God do the rest, and that's what we can do. So we then travelled on to the hospital, which is one of my favourite places to visit. Having been a midwife for quite a number of years in the NHS, this has always been one of my favourite places to go and visit. Again, quite challenging. They are because the camps are quite nearby. They're actually all the people who the displaced camps will turn up at the hospital, and they never turn anybody away. They will see everybody. They may have totally limited resources. They struggle, but they do it. And as they said in their words, we wouldn't turn anybody away. This has already been shown. This is the bed that they are using to operate on. So this bed is saving lives, but it's actually nearly falling apart. There's great need for some of the equipment. There's also a great need for mattresses and beds, because the room, which was already shown, this is full of mums and babies, somebody on a mattress on the floor because there's no room. Sometimes there's up to 2-3 people sharing a bed, just because of the number of people that are now being there. But as I say, they're doing an amazing job. I worked at the NHS for years, never had to deal with anything like that. And the infection control would have a field day with the bed, but they're saving lives on it, and that's all I'd say. Anybody who's been to Congo, or anybody who's been to Africa on a trip with me, not necessarily been to Congo, will know of my hope of being at the birth of a baby in this hospital in Congo. And as you see there, I'm holding a baby, but unfortunately that baby was delivered in 1 minute before I reached the room. I know, but it's the closest I've been. I got shouted on, dropped my bag and ran. We were about to leave and ran in, but the baby was lying on the side. But it was just amazing to be a part of it. I did deliver the placenta. And there are some pictures of me delivering the placenta, but I didn't really think that they were suitable to show this morning. There was a lot of concentration in my face because I've been retired now about 6 years, and I was thinking, well, I remember how to do this. Fortunately, it was very straightforward. But I was reminded later that there were 6 babies born that day in the hospital. Only one while I was there, though. 6 babies born that day in the hospital, and I got a placenta. So, but it's the closest I've ever been. So next year, maybe I will get more than just a placenta. This mum that was delivered is from one of the camps. She had no food for herself. She had no clothes for her baby, which I'm sure is true for many people coming from the camps to the hospital. Gave her a little bit of money just to buy a little bit of food, and you thought I would have given her, I thought I'd given her the world. Anyway, we also, a few of us joined together, and we managed to get clothes to her. So she is smiling in that picture, sort of, because we have met a little of her needs, but it won't touch what she really needs for the future, but it's a start. And I have to tell you that the baby, although it's wrapped up in blue, but that's okay nowadays, isn't it? You wrap girls and boys and whatever colours you want. But this is a little girl, and this little girl was called Fiona. So I have to say that was really touching, and I do have a lovely video of her thanking me. It's all in French, don't understand it, but I do understand the word Fiona, so I've got that bit. We did move on, and we went to see the pharmacy, which was incredible, fully stocked, because I think some of you'll know that a while back when the volcano erupted and there was a great need, the pharmacy actually gave away a lot of its stock, or most, just all of its stock, to help the needs there, and now it's fully stocked up, which is incredible to see, and that helps to provide a lot of the drugs to the hospital. We also visited a few schools. There are quite a number of schools in Congo, and Comfort Congo look after a lot of schools, and I felt there's lots of times we're standing on a bit of land with the hope that there's going to be a school built. This is kind of typical of what some of the pupils will be sitting at, coming to school, and that's what they'll be sitting there trying to study. It's not really just to study, but the next picture shows, which has already been shown already, but this is the Kambezi school that the appeal, we're raising money for the appeal. So it was amazing to see this. and to walk round and see all the different classrooms and just the amazing potential that's going to be. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children that need schooling. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children in the camps, and there are also hundreds and hundreds of children in Goma. Now, Giordani has got the biggest heart for education in Congo, and he would sell his liver or his heart or his kidney or anything just to be able to provide. So he has got a deep heart for them, but education is the way forward. If we can educate these children, then it's going to give them a better hope for their future, but also I believe it could change the country. If you get these young children being educated, growing up, and they can be the politicians, they can be the people that are fighting for others. So it is, although it's financially very, very draining, I think it's also very, very important. Sadly, we never got to Rabaya School because of the conflict going on just now. That was an area that was wasn't safe for us to go. The following day we went to church, and I went to see a wee Muzungo trying to dance in the middle of this crowd of people. I'm getting a wee bit older, so my energy levels are not quite as they used to be, and I did struggle a wee bit to keep going, but I did try very hard. It was a time of great joy, celebration, a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. There was also a time where we introduced ourselves as a Scottish team. I have to tell you a wee funny story because it's so funny. So we were introducing ourselves, and Izzy stood up and said, I have to tell you, as a confession I need to make, I am not Scottish, because she was born in England, she's not Scottish. But Giordani didn't quite get the interpretation and said to her, you're not a sausage? So the team were in absolute knots, but the rest of the congregation were probably going, I don't see anything funny in that at all, but that's why we were all laughing. The next step is a bit harder again. So this is when we travelled up to Sake just after we left the church. The church itself takes an offering on a regular basis to try and support these children with their feeding. At the moment, they're getting fed once a week with this porridge, once a week. There are hundreds of children. There are children lying who have got absolutely no energy whatsoever. It's just really distressing to see. And some of these children, they're probably not here anymore because they're so... there's a lot of them being looked after by families up there, but their families are really poor, so they can't really feed them. There's also an orphanage, which we did sort of saw from the outside, where they're going to try and house some of the children that have been orphaned just through the conflict, and with mamas looking after them. This little boy was a little boy I fed, and when I looked at him, we were giving out the kind of porridge mix, and I looked at him and he was just dipping his fingers and sucking his fingers because he didn't have the energy to lift the cup to his mouth to drink it. So I feel quite privileged to be able to sit and feed that child, but going away from that, walking out of that, and just knowing the needs is just awful. Just before that, there was a few of us, Izzy, myself and Karen, were sitting just on the ground, just sort of cuddling some of the children, and there was masses of children about. You wouldn't be able to see us because we were surrounded by children, but the wee one in Izzy's arms was very listless, and she actually thought it was going to die in her arms. That's how. And there are many more children like that in that area. So the feeding programme, which is going to be spread out, will help. But this is we need money to this area in Sake ASAP. That's about it. So it is heartbreaking to walk away knowing that some of these children will not survive. So I'm just asking you to please be the voice for these children and the people in the camps. We need to raise awareness of these needs. We need to pray for God's provision, because it seems impossible to tackle all of the needs. And it is impossible for us as humans, but it's not impossible with God. We just do our bit and He will do the rest. I kind of like to finish on a bit of a high rather than finish like that, although I really want that image to stay with you. I have seen many lives be transformed in Congo. Incredible stories of people's lives being transformed. And I'd just like to finish with just a little video of the Children of Liberty singing. You know, these young men and women were child soldiers. What they went through was just awful, but we've now, because they're there in sorry, can you hold on a minute? Be 2 seconds to finish, sorry. I know I'm keen to hear it as well, but yeah, these young women, they're child soldiers, now giving them a hope for the future, and just want you to listen to them praising the God who rescued them.
I'm so glad you came to save me. Lord, I lift your name up high. Lord, I dance to sing your praises. I'm so glad you in my life. I'm so glad you came to save.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Let's give her a... We're just going to try and get Giordani. If you've never met Giordani.
Yes, please.
Just while we're getting hold of Giordani, you probably find one of those on your seats. Sometimes, well, people have asked us recently when we came back, what were some of the needs that we saw when we were there, and this is really a summary of those. We are aware that people here give very generously. You are people that very much support it. Just please make the work known to other people, and if you've made it on to your friends, your family, your church, or whatever, and you can use this very much as a resource. It tells you some of the extra needs that are out there beyond our ongoing projects. So do take that away with you. If you want to take away any sponsorship leaflets or anything, there's some dotted around the place as well. So thank you. Can I also just mention that if you do have any spare time and you live fairly locally and you'd like to volunteer, particularly if you'd like to volunteer at the shop, we would very much value that. If you want to volunteer at the shop, then please, Janet, wave your hands. Okay, so see Janet, here we go. Good to see you guys. Bedad.
Moise, Bedad is showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Rebecca, if you just lift that up a bit and
Hello.
sort of put it, no, lift the
Our
laptop up
greetings to everybody
high
there.
so that you can see everybody. Okay.
Hi.
Hand over there.
Over here. Do you catch us?
Yes, we catch you. We're hearing you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Giordani, we'd like to just hear a little bit from you and the team. And we have been explaining to the supporters here that you have experienced so much conflict, so much disease, so much displacement, rape, volcanoes. Yeah, are you with? Okay. Maybe if we can just speak to you at the moment, Giordani, but Dad will come back. Okay, if we can just ask a question at the moment. How do you and the team cope emotionally and spiritually with the challenges and the pressures that you're under? Are you hearing me, Giordani?
I don't understand a bit of it. I don't know why.
Okay, we can hear you, and we're okay.
I think he needs to find audio, switch on audio.
Yeah. Giordani, are you?
You can type in a message.
Okay, Giordani, can you hear me?
Yeah. The voice is very, very narrow, so, but I'm hearing.
All right, okay, our voice is very low. Okay. Right, what I'm asking Giordani is how do you cope emotionally and spiritually with all the challenges that you're facing? Right, but Dad, are you help? Yeah, can you maybe just write it in the chat?
Yeah.
But Dad, can you wave if you're hearing us? You are on mute, Bedad, you're on mute. Bedad, you will need to unmute yourself. You'll need to unmute yourself, Bedad. Bedad, you are on mute. Yeah, okay. So, okay, great. So we are going to write the questions to you in the chat because we can hear you very well. So if you can answer the question, keep an eye on the chat. So the first question is, how do you cope emotionally and spiritually with the challenges of the work?
Thank you. Sometimes our people are experiencing feelings of hunger, guilt, shame, and doubt, and these are normal to people to cope that people have some questions when they are living a bad situation of hunger, guilt, shame, and doubt. These are normal for human being. They are not mean person has not lost their faith, but they are in difficult. No longer they are not punished by God because of difficult, but difficult can bring people to cope that we need to be near them, to care about them,
to love them, to support them, to show them they are not forgotten, and to be sympathetic, with their situation, and consider their situation, and know how to communicate with them through the situation they are living.
Yeah. But Dad, are you hearing us? Can you give a wave if you're hearing us okay?
Yeah, I'm okay now.
But Dad, can you tell us how do you cope emotionally with the constant challenges of the work that you're doing?
I don't cut.
How difficult is the work, Bedad? How are you finding the work?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Bedad, how are you finding the work? Are you finding it very difficult at the moment with the challenges?
Nowadays, I can say the work is very well, but nowadays with the war area, so children. So to be truly well, it seems like nowadays things are not well. But
Okay, we're not hearing you at the moment, Bedad, but I think we're picking up that things are very difficult at the moment because of the war, and especially that the children are suffering. Giordani, a lot of your focus is on education, and I think you now have 173 schools at Comfort Congo are running. Why do you put so much emphasis on schools and education?
Thank you very much. I'm focusing and emphasis on schools because in the Bible, in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, you found people without knowledge is the people to be lost. I'm focusing on education because education for me can bring many benefits, such as higher income of students who finish their secondary school and their university.
And do you?
You can find that when they finish secondary schools and their university, they lost poverty. They can be people who help country to acquire skill and the knowledge which is needed in our society. Education promotes innovation. Education is some kind of creativity in society, because someone who ever being taught, you found in him, in the brief, investing in education is not only beneficial for individuals, but also for society as a whole. Is it to promote development? Is it to promote economy growth? Is it to promote social progress and employment? Because those who have been educated, when you find them in a society, they hear easily and they follow the steps which have been given them. So, for me, education is better, and education reduces the quality of being in poverty, and education can bring people to empower themselves.
Yeah, thank you, Giordani. Bedad, what brings you most joy in your work? What makes you most happy in the work that you are doing?
Yeah, the most thing like
Yes, what is the thing that makes you happiest? What is the thing that makes you happiest in your work?
in my heart, yeah. I understand your question. For example, when I work with street children and some COLs, I'm feel like I'm reborn because it is as I have a new family and they like me, I like them, and we try to see how they can grow in faith and build their life. So it is some that help me.
I think we got most of that, Bedad. You've gone now. We're not hearing you now, but we were picking up very much that the thing that brings you joy is seeing the street children growing up, the children of liberty growing up.
Okay. If I can say something on children of liberty, we have a new COL now, and they are doing fine. They are doing fine. About, if I can say, about some livers, as I see some question about some livers, they are doing fine. I can give some example. We have a girl named Kibera, Dole Kibera, is an old COL, and now she's livers, but she like God. She sing in our church, and when she sing, you can feel it like that is not a COL, but God have changed her life, and this is something that make me very happy when I saw her sing in our church.
Thank you, Bedad. Giordani, what makes you happiest in your work?
Yeah, which brings me, which gives me most being happy.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. There are when I see my people in good health, in with knowledge, it reduces their fertility rate, and this brings me to be happy to see people they got a healing of their trauma. We are assisting them spiritually. This brings me to be happy.
Yeah. Thank you, Giordani. But before we called you, Fiona was explaining a little bit about her visit, and she mentioned the displacement camps and the children at Sake. What can Comfort Congo do in situations where the need is so great?
Yeah, thank you very much for the situation of children in Isaki, where we have orphans and children in malnutrition. Comfort Congo used at the beginning to sensitize Bethlehem Church to be part of their situation. But as you know, here in the Congo, financial people are just limited. They don't have much means. We tried to do what we were able to do until we brought you there. Your help was a big support, because children are now getting their porridge. They are eating rice. All Comfort Congo is thinking to help them. We think to pray for them, to sensitize local people here, as you are doing from there out of our country, so we may be part of their situation. When the peace will come in, we will teach their environment how to make agricultural, so they may provide food for their populations and their children.
That's good to hear. But Dad, the newest project that you're doing is with the street children. How are the street children getting on the project?
In brief now, I can say SKL project is a project that is improving very well. As you can see, some of children have found hope, and the other one, they are living well in the host family. So I can say it is a project that gives a chance to that children who lost the hope in their previous life, and now they can count on us as a Comfort Congo. And this project helped those children to find hope as other. Now you can see other when we take them before being in the project, it was like they are shamed, they fair people, but now some of them like God, and the other has begun to sing in the church, and the other are doing well at school. It means it is a project that it gives a chance to the street of children. But the challenge we have, we have many children that are waiting to have this chance. So we are praying, and I know that God will bring solution to that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Giordani, just finally, what would you say to people who are thinking about coming out to visit Congo?
Yeah, they are welcome. They are welcome. They are welcome when it will be part of one day foot on Congo. It's a peace comes from there up to here. And their prayer, reflection, study Bible with us. Oh, it will be a big blessing to us. So they are welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, we're going to give you, we're going to have a time of prayer now where we're praying for Congo. So we're going to say cheerio. So if everybody can say goodbye.
Bye. All of you, I wish to see you here in Congo. Come here in Congo.
Thank you so much. Bless you so much. Bye. Yeah. Bye.
Bless you.
Thanks for that. Bye, Moses.
Thank you so much, everybody. So we're going to have a short time of prayer now. I do apologise. We are running a fair bit behind now. But what we'll do is we're going to just break into small groups of 5 or 6, and we're just going to try and spend some time praying and just really pray as you feel led. Obviously, there's a lot to think about and pray about there, the situation in Congo. So we're going to be focusing our time on that just now. But just pray as you feel led for the projects. I'd ask you to just break off into little groups. There's the seating area over there. There's a room just behind us in there that a group can go into, or you can just turn the chairs round. I'm looking for us to come back just after 1 o'clock. So just when we call people back, if you can just try and come back round, and then we're going to do a very brief review on South Sudan and Burundi just to finish, and then we'll be finishing up for lunch. So thank you for your patience. If there's anybody who would rather not be involved in the prayer, there's a room set up here with some pen and paper. If you'd like to write some letters to some of our partners or write anything down that you're thinking or feeling, this room is available for you. So we'll see you back in about 10 minutes or so, okay? Thank you.
Oh, yes.
You want to turn around?
Yeah. Turn around.
Should we just?
Yeah.
That seems a lot.
Yes, Trisha. Alice and Jonathan.
So, are you here on your own? Oh, no. No.
Well, I'm supplementing her age.
The ladies that go and get surgery to make them well after being gang raped. That's what my husband and I chose to. Oh, I don't like the camera on there. Oh gosh, yeah. No, never mind. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, it's not.
Well, our church in Dunfermline just started supporting Comfort. Callum came over, I'm sure it was this year there, like Pat this year. So we've just started getting involved with them. So we're doing a help walk tomorrow for Mothers in the Youth Project. Yeah, and there's the pastor and his wife and a couple other people are going out in springtime.
Which church is that?
Liberty and Dunfermline. So yeah, so I've watched some stuff on YouTube because they post stuff on YouTube. So
Comfort.
yeah, so I've watched some videos in it. So
Now, can you guide us? There were 3 different projects up there. I understand Liberty, which is the child soldiers. One of them was the children's hospital. One of the ones the hospital.
Yes, that's the Congo.
That's the Royal Congo. Just the last people that we were speaking.
Yeah, the last one's called the Congo. I didn't know they did all the other things. But I support some of the other things in other charities that stand by me. They have child soldiers. Anyway. That's
yeah. I suppose if we just pray generally for comfort, because it is too many. I'm like, you know, because I'm getting a bit confused as well about what.
Even though you've been involved for.
No, I haven't been involved at all. Really, this is just the start.
You've been supporting them.
Just recently, just in the last.
I've been doing it for
yeah. So it's all a bit.
Right. I'm glad that you're fine. I'm glad you're fine.
Right, okay.
Absolutely.
No, I love the whole sector. I think we are very people focused.
Yeah.
Most what we call missionaries were doing somebody at the station getting along before.
Yeah.
But he's kind of thinking, nah, that doesn't work for people. Let's change it around to be focused on us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
These are the reasons prayers.
Yeah. I'll just start with what's on my heart. I just think this is good. And I just think it's amazing to put this together we need to take the ourselves and place on you. We can't have it being place on others. And I just thank you for what you I mean, it's vast. I know honestly. Remember that it's you. I know that you're God. I know that you're creating. My sense is I'm not good enough. But you're giving us every single one of us. We all have treasure within us that you want us to share. And this is amazing. I mean, of course, the 1 or 2, we all have to have enough. Well, I do. And I can give more. So that just bless this project. All 3 that you've seen the joy in the people's faces.
Father, we pray
the
for
love in their
peacemakers
hearts.
in Eastern
And
Congo.
Lord, at the end
Father,
of
for the
the day,
peacemakers who are there already. Wisdom, grace, your hand will be with them. Grace,
pray for the Lord,
Father, we pray that you would raise up more peacemakers. We pray.
and you spoke about the attitude.
Father, we pray that peace would be brought to this wonderful part of Africa. We pray for the war plans of people, warlords, warmongers, and we pray that you would bless the plans of peacemakers,
Even the smallest
seeking to
So I just
bring
want
good out of this situation. For the church leaders in that field, we pray the church leaders strengthen them and encourage them, fill them with faith and hope, even in the face of enormous evil and suffering. We pray that you would help them to keep on communicating the good news of Jesus. We pray that many people will turn to you. And Father, as the church is built amongst the ruins of this part of Africa, Lord, we pray that that will be a bright light. We pray it will bring hope. We pray that you would empower your people to bring transformation to their society, to their region, to their country. Empower them by your Spirit, we pray.
And we just thank you for Comfort International. We thank you and praise you for your generosity and Comfort International. And some of it won't be seen by anybody's God, but you see it all. You see it all. Father God, we lift up Congo. There's such immense need there, Lord. Lord, we would pray for peace, Lord. We know that there's groups coming in, Lord, from other parts and trying to destroy Congo, trying to destroy your believers, Lord. And we just lift up that whole country to you, Lord God. And with Comfort International in the middle of it, providing sustenance, providing meals, providing safety and comfort as it's in the title of its name, Lord. So we ask you, Holy Spirit, to surround that whole country, Lord, whole country,
Yeah, Lord Jesus, we just thank you so much that you
peace
hear
and
prayers, that
sustenance
you
and provision,
are the
Lord.
God of miracles, Lord God, and we just submit all of these things into your hands, Lord. We thank you that you are capable and you're able to do much more than we can ask and imagine, Lord. So we just submit all these things to you in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, so if you want to just come back round.
So are you. Struggle to get here. Driving.
Oh, it was a bit of a roundabout.
I always think Cumbernaulds are hard place from other areas.
I've got one dodgy one myself.
Right, we're going to be moving on to our review of Burundi, and here's Claude just to give the introduction. Some technical issues. So we're going to invite Billy to come up and talk about the time that they had in Burundi this summer. Billy getting everyone tea and coffee. What a man.
The good news is I'm not talking. Right? Well, I'm talking on there. When I come here, I get emotional. When I talk about anything here, I get emotional. So I prepared this PowerPoint show.
and I've stuck to the 9 minutes. And according to my wife, it's factual. It's a good thing. It took me 8 takes to get this done, and I wasn't going to do any more because Rebecca was chapping at the door trying to get it to YouTube.
There's no sound coming, then you have to come and speak. There's no sound coming.
I said that to you.
Have you shared the sound?
Is the soundtrack?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the soundtrack at the same place?
Yes.
As it was in.
Yes.
You sure the sound is on their laptop?
Look at you, go for time.
Always right.
So, is that Fiona's husband? No. Fiona McLean?
Yes, I think so.
Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? I'm blessed to be a blessing to somebody else. To Burundi in the summer. Oh, that's good. And I got told 88 minutes. And going, oh, maybe not so good. But here we go. Primarily, we visited 2 sectors in Burundi, Ngozi in the north and Bujumbura in the south. Although it is located in the northeast end of Lake Tanganyika. Our first place we went to was in Ngozi, the Batwa Cattle Project. Batwa are a highly vulnerable minority group, previously known as Pygmies, but they prefer to be known as Batwa. Historically, they lived in the forests of Burundi. However, due to the government being involved in forest clearances for a number of reasons, they now live out with the forest. The project we visited is in the north of the country and consists of approximately 200 households. Comfort International supplied a number of cattle earlier this year, and they've now got 5 cows. They gather the manure, often sell it to neighbours so they can use it on their land to help grow their crops. The purchase of land in this area is very difficult, and we're looking to do that, so we appreciate your prayers in this regard. Despite their poverty, the community are a close-knit group of people who meet together on a regular basis and support one another if and when they can. Their needs are many due to extreme poverty. Housing primarily consists of circular grass huts, with many of them in a very poor state, as evidenced in the photos. There are some mud brick properties, and for many of them have a straw roof due to the people having had to sell the additional corrugated tin roof when they've had no money for medicines, etc. Many of you will have seen the video of Claudine's house on Facebook. Claudine is the lady on the right-hand photo. Despite the condition of her home, she always had a smile on her face. It was hard to accept that 6 people, that's 2 adults and 4 children, lived in this house. She gave us permission to take photographs of the inside of her house. It was separated into 3 areas. A sleeping area for the parents on the left-hand side, a sleeping area for the kids on the right-hand side, and in the middle there was a cooking area. Once we had visited that project, we headed off to Bujumbura, a distance of 90 miles. And we were talking the other day about that, and we've never seen as many road bumps, especially ones that have never been painted. So you can imagine when you're travelling at speed, hitting a road bump and bang. But praise be to God, we got there safely and settled into a hotel. We then met up with some of the kids from the Kamenge Street Kid Rescue Project, including the wee girl Bonette, who's in the middle of Fiona and I, and that's our niece Alison's sponsored wee girl. We spent some time with them, and Fiona had a great time doing with the kids, playing with stickers. They asked me to play with them and get involved with the stickers. I couldn't refuse. But then they got involved in some dancing, and I did refuse, and I made the excuse that I was going to do the video. Then we moved to income generating projects, starting off in the rice fields. The lady in the photo rents the rice field behind her so that she can learn the whole process without committing. The various steps in rice cultivation include seed selection, seed bed and land preparation, transplanting, weeding, fertilizing, pest management, harvesting, threshing, drying, and then marketing. Although I think really the marketing's not needed because she has got customers on base. We then visited the palm oil production area, again a useful source of income for the community. The production process is very, very timely, but in summary, it involves the reception of fresh fruit bunches from the palm trees, sterilising, threshing of the bunches to free the palm fruit that you can see the lady having in the left-hand photo in her hand, mashing the fruit and pressing out the crude palm oil. We then met up with the other kids from the second project. It was great to see them, and they seemed happy to us, especially when Fiona was giving out the toothbrushes and toothpaste that she brought out from Scotland to every individual there. We then spent back at our hotel some lovely time together. We shared bread and juice. It wasn't Fanta, but hey ho, the juice I had was passion fruit, and it was lovely. We then went to the beach. After paying to access a private beach, we started to get settled on the sand. I was advised that this was the very first time that some of the kids had even seen Lake Tanganyika, never mind the sandy beach surrounding it. They loved trying to build sandcastles once we had shown them how to do it, and they copied Callum when he was buried in the sand. There was lots of joy and laughter. Some of the kids went in swimming, and they were told that they couldn't because there was previously a crocodile with some baby crocodiles a while ago, whatever that meant. We negotiated a refund after Gerard, our partner in Burundi, managed to track down the owner of the resort. He then negotiated with the owners of a boat that was nearby to take all the kids and many of the team members out on a short trip. 12 at a time, as it only had 12 life jackets, which I thought was fair news. Many of the kids had never seen a boat, never mind being on one. The joy and the excitement on their faces was brilliant to see. Once the kids came back off the boat, they were taken to a public part of the beach. We don't know if the crocodiles were around. We certainly didn't see them. For many of the kids who had never been swimming or even paddling, there was absolutely no fear. They threw themselves into the water and had a great time until we had to ask them to get out, as we had to travel back to Kigali that evening so that Fiona could catch a flight back home again. We eventually did get them out of the water, got them dried, got them redressed, got them back on the bus and back to the hotel, where we had our emotional goodbyes, posed for a few photographs together, and set off back to Kigali Airport. Direct to the airport as we're running behind time. Based on that trip, I think it's fair to say that it's not just Ngozi that means blessing, but the whole country.
We're just going to get a video of our partner Claude. Of course, Claude, many of you, well, very few of you will have met Claude. He's a lovely guy, and he's always got a guitar with him. He was born with a guitar, and he's going to just use a very brief message and sing to us. Just while we're getting that, any questions at the moment? We have got a few parts in the programme where we're going to stop and ask questions, but because we're running late, we've kind of skipped some of that by. So are there any questions at this point that we can at least say we tried?
Just about the Batwa, are they the same people as the Twa that you speak of in Rwanda?
Yes, yes.
So-
One Twa is Umutwa and many Twa is Batwa. So it is the Twa people. Yeah. And very sorry. Yeah. So they are what we would have called pygmies, and some of them actually still are happy to be called pygmies. It's just one of those things that they like to respect what they want to be called. They seem to be quite happy to be called pygmies. People understand that their tribal name is the Batwa, and they're also related to the pygmies that we work with up in Congo, and actually Sylvestre, who is a chaplain at the hospital, he is a pygmy. And there's a number of people that work with Comfort Congo who are from the Batwa. Okay, so there's Claude. He doesn't want to.
It was mentioned on the Vision project that the cost of living is much higher and price of food there. Do you have an example of like how much more is that bag of rice that has been like the price increasing a lot?
Yeah, it is. I've got it there if you just want to play it.
No, she makes it.
You got it. Yeah, I mean the cost of food. I wouldn't be able to give accurate figures. But I know that they were talking about 2 or 3 times as much as it was recently. Officially, I think the inflation rates of those countries has been around about 25%. But as people know, even here as well, the cost of food tends to be higher. One of the things that we tend not to perhaps understand as well is that because the projects in the African people are very often buying the food as a raw material, then when the raw material goes up, say the raw material doubles in price, say your rice doubles in price, then what our partners are having to pay is double the price. for us, when we buy a tin of rice pudding, you've got a cut for the guy who makes the pan, a cut for the the transport, a cut for this, a cut for that, a cut for the next thing. So the actual cost of the actual raw material food is much less. So the increase is not as great. Are you with me? Yeah. So because they are dealing with raw materials all the time, the increase in food prices has an immediate greater impact upon them. And that's why in Africa the cost of food has gone up so quickly and so strongly.
Happy Supporters Day. My name is Claude Hakizimana from Comfort Burundi. I manage the project along with the team here. Our goal is to help children live better life by creating hope and future for them. Now we have 37 children in the project. 29 are in primary school, 1 in secondary, 7 are taking vocation trainings. 17 families have been equipped with business trainings where they are capable of starting their own businesses when they receive startup support and they graduate. When a family is economically stable, the child is also safe. We could not do this without sponsorship from Comfort International. Thank you and God bless you, Claude. Let me sing this song. I am not alone. I am with God in everything. No trouble. I am with my Creator, my God, my Jesus. I am not alone. I am not alone. You go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me, God. Oh.
So up next. Yes, today has been good. Thank you all, everybody, for coming. But we're not ending there. I still have something to say.
Thank you very much.
I went to South Sudan. It was my very first time this year since I was born. Thank God. And I don't think it will be my last time. I was really, really moved and grateful to go to South Sudan. So our next stop is South Sudan. It's just a couple of videos and pictures, but there is not much. But I just want to speak from my experience. When I went there, I got to meet the children. Firstly, they were like, who is this person? They were trying to figure it out. The first time when they don't know you physically, unless if you send them your photos or your emails or messages, they will know you. And they were so happy to see me. And I was like, oh, you're happy to see me? Oh, but it was really good. I had the best time with them. And the highlight of my trip was the day we went to church with them. We can just play, I think it will just replay, and then you see all of them. So these are the children in South Sudan. But the day I didn't find that picture because we were living in the moment. And I had 5 children, both hands, and we were walking. So behind me, there was like 10 more until most of them were there. And I was teaching them this song, Goodness of God. And they were repeating. The moment I would be like done talking, they'll be like, again. And I'm like, it's hot, people. But it was a joyful moment to just see them. And they were like, thank you for coming. And like they were telling Billy, some of them, they were like, you promised last year that you were going to come back. We didn't think that you were going to come back. but you came. We're really grateful. And there's a lady who has been shown there. Her name is Mama Jackie. That lady was smiling there. So I think it was the day before we left, we had a meeting and then we were seated. And she spoke about her story to say that because of, because of that time where Comfort International was able to be part of them, it started with David. And just the fact that he brought Comfort International there, she was like, David, you brought Comfort International to us and they're helping us. Before that, I used to think of killing myself because my husband used to mistreat me. He left me with she has like 4 children. And one of her last born is like, she was born seeing, but growing up, she became blind suddenly, just like that. And I used to just think that it was better for me not to be part of this world. But thank you for that change that you brought in my life. Like the phrase line that Comfort is all about, that a little can change a life. It's really true because so many people's life have been changed because of all of you here. And that is just something that we're really grateful. And the fact that I was able to be there, I understood what Kalam always tells us, that when we go there, it's not just about the money, it's to build relationship. And the fact that I started building relationship with the children and the people there, I'm just really grateful to God. So, yes, so that's my story. That's the highlight of South Sudan. And the fact that I was able to see them, they were like, thank you. They will come to us and say, now I'm going to school. I'm happy I'm able to go to school. And the cost of living, like not just the cost of living, there in South Sudan is the price of sending children to school is the highest place where that is really expensive for the children. And sometimes the sponsorship money doesn't arrive to, it doesn't allow it to cover all the costs, but at least it's a beginning of something. And that allowed the children to be able to just go to school and learn. And they were just so really grateful for that. And we just wanted to say thank you. So that's me. And we have a video of the people here that I'm going to play. And after that, we'll give you the last word. Thank you.
Hello, dear friends at Comfort. Hello, dear friends at Comfort International. Greetings from South Sudan in Africa. Happy Supporters Day. My name is Jackie. Jennifer. We work as the part of South Sudan team. I am the secretary. On behalf of the big team, I would like to thank you for all the support that you've been supporting the poor and the needy. We are supporting 52 children 12 are not yet supported.
12 لسه ما لقوا المساعدة.
40 have sponsors, but still many children are in need of support.
40 هم اللي لقوا ناس بيساعدهم لكن كثير هم لسه.
11 of our children have been graduated through income generation.
11 ريال تانينا ده خرجوهم في المطالب اللي قاعدين نخليهم فيه.
We still have many challenges, but we're thankful that we have been able to help some children living a hopeful life and happy.
أنينا شكرا سيدي في المساعدة القوة دي لأننا ليال تانينا كله ولسه الكثير جاي من القدام في المتوسط.
We love you. We thank you for lifting up these who need our support.
أنينا بالشكر أنينا تكون أنينا مرتاحين ليتكون بمساعدة تقول إلا أنينا ليال المساكين للناس المالكم يلقوا كل فرحان.
Thank you.
شكرا ليتكم.
Love from South Sudan.
محاطة من جنوب السودان الجمهورية وأفريقيا.
So you'll be glad you got that translated into Arabic.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been so great today to hear from our partners in Africa. They really are the lifeblood of everything that we do, and we are so grateful for them. And we just ask for your continued prayers for them. I just want to bring to your attention very briefly our Harvest Pack resources for this year for your churches. We are focusing this year on South Sudan and some of the issues that are going on there. If you want to find them, you can go to our website, and this is under resources. Bye, Fiona. So we have those on there if you'd like to. I'm just going to hand over to Rebecca to wrap up for the day, and then we can all get some lunch.
Thank you so much. And to end for the last thing, we're just going to say thank you to all the volunteers of Comfort International. Thank you so much for all that you do. And I just want to remind people, if you want to go on a trip, like Callum said, it wasn't about the trip today, but we send out some emails. We send out some emails, and we wanted to know if you're interested. Today is the last day of registering for interest, and we have our meeting for Monday for the trip, the second meeting, and that will be that. And if you have any question, you can find me or Callum and just ask us some question. But lunch is ready, so we'll have some good lunch and everything. And thank you so much to everybody for coming. Thank you so much for responding. Thank you so much for coming.
We just give thanks for the food. We're very pleased to have our chair of the trustees with us today, Archie. So would you like to give thanks for the food? Archie's recently retired, and and has now